Good evening, everyone, and I'd like to call to order the regular meeting of the Town Council of the Town of Clarkdale for Tuesday, October 8th, 2024 at 6 p.m. in the Clark Memorial Clubhouse. Roll call, Vice Mayor Hunsetter.
Here.
Councilmember Babbitt Pierce.
Present.
Councilmember O'Neill.
Here.
Councilmember Jones.
Present.
And please note, Mayor Prudhomme Bauer is here. We have a quorum. Item 3 on the agenda is public comment. The town council invites the public to provide comments at this time. Members of the town council may not discuss items that are not specifically identified on the agenda. Action taken as a result of public comment will be limited to directing staff to study the matter, responding to any criticism, or scheduling the matter for further consideration and decision at a later time. If you're interested in making a comment on a specific agenda, just hold your comments until that time. And we do have a form you can fill out, or you can just indicate to me that you want to speak on that item. For public comment, you're welcome to come up and speak for up to 5 minutes. And if there's anybody online, then just indicate to our town clerk that you want to speak. So it's public comment. If you want to come to the microphone, you have up to 5 minutes to speak. I just ask you to state your name and if you're a Clarkdale resident. Anybody wishing to make public comment? Okay, I'm seeing nobody come up to the microphone, and nobody's online tonight. So let's move on to item 4, which is reports. The reports of the mayor, vice mayor, and council member reports are in our packets, and they're in the public packets for your review by the public and for all of us to know what we did last month. Organizational reports, Verde Valley Transportation Planning Organization.
I was unable to attend this month's meeting. Lou Anderson attended on my behalf, and when the notes are available, I will share them.
Okay, thank you. Northern Arizona Council of Government, NACOG.
We have a meeting in 2 weeks, but I will be attending some training tomorrow with the NACOG finance director.
Oh, wonderful. NAMWA, Northern Arizona Municipal Water Users Association.
No meeting.
Transportation Policy Advisory Council.
We have canceled our meeting this month because it is the Rural Transportation Summit on the 16th and 17th, and Town Manager Guthrie will be accompanying me to the Rural Transportation Summit in Prescott.
Great. I hear it's a sold-out event, so it's very popular. I'll look forward to hearing your report from that conference. Verde Front Leadership Council doesn't meet until next month. Sustaining Flows Committee.
There was a meeting that I missed due to illness, but there is another meeting coming up on the 22nd.
Okay, great.
The modeling.
Right.
I think a lot of people went to the Verde Valley watershed modeling event. You went to USDA. She was ill, so I went.
That's right.
But
That's right. Gotcha. Yavapai Communities for Young Children.
We are meeting quarterly, so we meet again in January.
Okay, and Cottonwood Noise Working Group, Airport Noise Working Group.
We are still suspended.
Okay, thank you. That's all of our organizational reports. Let's move on to what I always love to do, which are proclamations. The item on for tonight is next week is Arizona Cities and Towns Week, and that's why you see all of us wearing these T-shirts tonight. We did have a group picture just before this meeting of not just council, but as many staff as possible, which was wonderful. And before I read the proclamation, as I said to everybody, is we have a terrific town staff. Absolutely terrific. And I'm doing this because it's on record. the town staff is the face of Clarkdale to every single resident. And you do a terrific job of taking care of all of our things that are happening in town, whether it's a street problem, whether it's a sewer problem, whether it's a water problem, whether it's a park activity, all sorts of things. You all take care of this town and we really appreciate, I appreciate it. I value all of you for what you do, and you are truly what I would call servant leadership in Clarkdale. So thank you for being here and taking care of us, because you do, really. You do, but you do it with your heart, and I think that's wonderful, and I appreciate all of you. So with that, I'd like to read the proclamation. Whereas the citizens of Clarkdale rely on the town of Clarkdale to experience a high quality of life in our community, and whereas the cities and towns in Arizona work 24 hours a day, 7 days a week to deliver vital town services such as fire, police, emergency, medical response, to ensure safe communities, and whereas cities and towns in Arizona also provide services and programs that enhance the quality of life for residents such as parks, utilities, street maintenance, sanitation, and recycling services, libraries, community centers, and recreation programs. And whereas it is important for the town of Clarkdale to continue to provide the excellent delivery of services and programs to our citizens that we have come to expect in our community. And whereas it is one of the responsibilities of the town of Clarkdale officials to ensure open and accessible government through frequent communication with citizens using various avenues and means. And whereas through participation and cooperation, citizens, community leaders, local businesses, municipal staff can work together to ensure that services provided by the town of Clarkdale remain exceptional elements of the quality of life in our community. Now, therefore, be it resolved that the town of Clarkdale joins with the League of Arizona Cities and Towns and fellow municipalities across the state of Arizona in declaring October 13th through 19th, 2024, Arizona Cities and Towns Week. And with that, I'll take a motion to approve this proclamation.
So moved.
Is there a second?
I'll second.
It's been moved by Vice Mayor Hunsetter and seconded by Councilmember Babbitt Pierce to approve the proclamation declaring October 13th through 19th, 2024, Arizona Cities and Towns. Any comments anybody else would like to make before I? All those in favor of the motion, please say aye. Aye. All those opposed, motion carried. We have that. Thank you so much to all of you. Let's move on to our consent agenda. We have one item on consent tonight, which is the approval of minutes of the special meeting held on September 23rd, 2024. Is there any comments or changes to those minutes? Hearing none, I'll take a motion.
Madam Mayor, I move that we approve the minutes from the special meeting on September 23rd, 2024.
A second.
I'll second.
Okay, it's been moved by Councilmember Babbitt Pierce and seconded by Vice Mayor Hunsetter to approve consent agenda with one item, all those in favor of the motion, please say aye. All those opposed, hearing none, motion carried. Okay, let's move on to item 7, which is new business. First item up tonight is the ratification of the Water Infrastructure Finance Authority of Arizona grant. This is for us to discuss, consider, and act upon the ratification of the WIFA. That's what Water Infrastructure Finance Authority is. Water Supply Development Revolving Fund grant for the Valley View, Cemetery Stormwater Drainage Recharge Project. And we have Grants Manager DK Green will speak to this topic.
Thank you, Mayor, and thank you for that mouthful. I will do my best to summarize what this ratification for this grant application is all about. And thank you to council and staff and residents for being here. First of all, I do want to say that I can't take full responsibility for this. I happen to be the spokesperson. I happen to be the one that hit submit on the grant application, but Virginia Smith did the majority, if not all, of the work on this. And she's been a great partner throughout this process. So thank you, first of all, Virginia, for this. The cemetery well is not connected to the town's potable water system. Opening the new section of the Valley View Cemetery last year has put extra stress on the well, which is used primarily for cemetery irrigation. Private well owners in adjacent areas have also reported their wells going dry over the past few years. And due to decreases in groundwater in the area and lack of stormwater recharge, cemetery irrigation has been decreased, and we have risked losing the aesthetic landscaping of the cemetery. One of the neighboring parcels to the cemetery is Molden Graphics, the light industrial manufacturer that uses its own private well for its own primary water source, but it does have town connection as a backup. That parcel alone can use almost, when needed, almost 200,000 gallons of water a month. Preliminary estimates show that a stormwater drainage recharge project in the cemetery area could capture an acre-foot of water per rain event, or 325,000 gallons, extending the life and reliability of the cemetery well and the private wells in the area. Now, we have applied for this WIFA grant. It is a $900,000 grant application. The decision from WIFA is pending on whether or not we will need to go with financing or get the full grant. That is still pending, as far as I know, on the WIFA side. The Nature Conservancy has awarded the town $34,400 in grant funding to complete the design of this project. And Yavapai County Flood District has also agreed to carry some of their flood district funding from last year, just shy of $10,500 from FY24 to combine with fiscal year 25 funding, also in support of this project. So our recommendation is that council approve the ratification of this WIFA loan, this WIFA grant, I should say, and authorize the town manager to sign all required documents related to the grant.
Great. Susan, do you wish to say anything before I?
But the only piece that we really didn't address in your staff report is this will have impact on drainage issues in Lamplighter, which is adjacent to the cemetery. So it kind of has a dual purpose.
So it will help that problem that we have with the drainage in Lamplighter Village.
We believe so.
Lisa, you have a question?
Yeah, thank you for that. Will the project go ahead even if we don't get a grant?
That'll be a decision that I'll bring to you for discussion, because right now we're applying for it as a grant. They could come back and say, hey, we'll fund via grant 80% or 90%. So it's really going to come down to a financial decision, and do we have the money budgeted to be able to move forward? So I'll keep you posted, and we'll come back when we hear more on this application.
Okay. Any other questions for DK, town manager? Virginia, is there anything you wish to say since you helped work on this grant? Yes.
The estimate of the cost, we bid that out, so we have a good sense of the actual cost.
It has not been bid out at this point. We have an estimate from the engineering firm. And so if we get, it's under design right now, and as part of design, they'll also give us a final estimated cost.
Cool.
But, always when we get to that point, we have a lot of options. We have, state alternative procurement methods. We can go out to bid. So it really depends upon if the grant matches the amount that we can get through alternative procurement, we'll do that. And if it doesn't, sometimes we'll say, well, let's go out to bid. Maybe we might get a better price. So.
Okay, thank you.
Any other questions? Seeing none from any of you, I'll take a motion.
Madam Mayor, I move that we approve the ratification of the WIFA WSDRF grant and authorize the town manager to sign all required documents related to this grant.
there a second?
I'll second.
It's been moved by Councilmember Babbitt Pearson, seconded by Councilmember O'Neill to approve the ratification of the WIFA WSDRF grant and authorize the town manager to sign all required documents related to this grant. Okay. Just for the public, we have, this project has been discussed for well over almost 2 years now. Partially because of drainage issues in Lamplighter, but also being able to have a way to capture stormwater runoff and put it back into the as a recharge project. So it has sort of that dual purpose. So we've been working on this for almost 2 years now. So this is the culmination of it all. Okay. With that, all those in favor of the motion, please say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? Hearing none, motion carried. Thank you, DK.
Thank you.
Okay, item 7B, Resolution 1718, authorizing WIFA application for Clean Water State Revolving Loan Fund. This is to discuss, consider, and act upon a resolution authorizing the application for the Clean Water State Revolving Loan Fund from the WIFA from WIFA of Arizona for the Third North Sewer Project.
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, Town Manager Guthrie's handling this one.
Hey, Mayor and Council, and I'll start off if there's a lot of technical questions on the actual engineering. Lou is here and we'll call him up, but I'll get it started. So as you know, we've had significant repeated problems with the sewer line on Third North, resulting in flooding into residents' home. It's a very old line, probably over 100 years old. It's a clay pipe, but most challenging is because it was built during the time when this was a town company-owned town. The line actually runs in the backyards of residents, sometimes going under ancillary buildings like a pool or a storage shed or even parts of the house. So extremely challenging project. In 2023, we hired Ardura to take a really good deep dive look at this project. They have come up with a plan of action. On October 3rd, we held a public meeting with the neighborhood, and we did letters to all the residents and as well as follow-up phone calls to get as many of them there as we can. The engineer went over the project and then subsequently scheduled one-on-one meetings with each resident. Because of the complexity of the project, they need to meet on site with every resident to determine how they're going to make these connections and move this line into the street, into the right of way. So we're in the process of that. I put an article in the e-newsletter to try and encourage those residents who didn't attend to come, and staff will continue to reach out to them to make contact with each of them. The project is estimated at between 1.7 and $2 million. In order to finance or fund this project, as you know, the wastewater fund does not have that amount of money in reserves or fund balance. So we are approaching WIFA to get a loan for this project. If you recall, we did our rate study late last year, earlier this year, we adopted it. And in that rate study, we accounted for projects such as this. So our new rate structure should support the debt payment for this. This is a loan at a very low interest rate. We're estimating at this point between 2.5 and 3% loan, so well below market rate. There's also a loan forgiveness component to this loan. And so that will kind of show itself as we work our way through the process. But we're estimating probably 20 to 30% would be forgiven as part of the loan process. So at this point, we're recommending going ahead and applying for the full $2 million, and then we'll see what happens with the loan forgiveness. But it does benefit us. The more that we apply for, the more that 20% or 30% gives us in return. Part of the process is we had to submit a PPL, sort of like the last item that was just on your agenda. We've done that. And then the next step is you have to authorize us to apply for that debt. That's what this is tonight. The resolution is for you to authorize us to continue in this process. However, this, before finally, issuing the debt, this will come back to you. I believe when we looked at the schedule, it was February is the timeline when it would most likely come back to you because there's several steps with WIFA that it goes through. So you will see this again. You'll see our financial advisor and maybe our bond counsel will come to that meeting and address you and answer any questions that you have. But we do recommend moving forward with this project. It's very critical. And we do recommend adopting this resolution. And I'm happy to answer any questions.
Yes, Marnie.
Thank you. So talking about issuing debt is kind of scary. I just want to clarify that this debt is being issued to the enterprise fund of wastewater and will not be coming out of the general fund.
That's correct.
Thank you.
Any other questions? Yes.
Just a comment. I attended the meeting on October 3rd.
Yes.
And I thought that it went really well, despite the fact that it was very scary that, people have these sewer pipes under their house. But I think it's a very long timeline on that project, and I'm glad that we're looking to secure some funding for it because it is very important. And I think that all the residents that showed up were, I guess, agreeable.
Very
That's-
supportive.
Yeah, supportive. That's good. And so I think that it's important to do this. So I'm in favor of it.
Thank you, ma'am.
Marnie.
Thank you. I also want to say we have to do this for those people. We can't have sewage backing up into people's homes. And I appreciate how much work has gone into finding the appropriate solution. And this is like the last ditch effort because it is a ton more work but we have to take care of those folks.
Any other questions, comments?
No, as somebody who has 100-year-old sewer, I appreciate mine is so far underground. I hope nobody ever comes across it. But I agree. This is just something we have to address. And I appreciate the effort that town staff has put into reaching out to the residents and making sure the residents understand and feel part of this process, because it is really disturbing to think that you could get a sewer backup in your house and all that kind of good stuff. So, and this will take time. So,
This will.
hopefully we are on top of it enough to hold off more issues until then. But I know I won't use the word I was thinking.
Yeah.
Unknown.
And I mean, I really just have to compliment Lou's leadership of that department. And as you know, we just hired a brand new utilities director, and he's all on top of this project, very interested, but they are monitoring that line very closely to try to ensure that we don't get a backup in the, interim. But we're really doing the best we can to keep anything else from happening. But the biggest thing people can do to help us is those things they call flushable wipes are not flushable. Please don't flush them. Don't flush t-shirts, rags, oils and greases, huge impact to our wastewater system, especially with these clay pipes, because the clay pipes can allow roots to grow into the system. Those roots then catch on to any oils and greases trying to flow through. And if you get some, several of those wipes, flushable wipes, it just clogs everything up. And so the number one thing people can do is don't put oils and greases down your drain and don't use flushable wipes.
I feel like we should get a giant banner across Main Street that says, please don't do that.
Actually,
I don't know how else to encourage
It's not a
people,
bad idea.
because you put it in the newsletter and,
Yeah, I do.
and I tell my neighbors like all the time. But it seems that people continue to do it. So I'm not sure how to stop that, but I appreciate the effort.
I too want to say that the community meeting was nicely done. I know it's an uncomfortable situation, but what I heard from the residents is a little sense of relief that something's going to happen, that's going to be taken care of. And the ones who are there are very aware that it is going to be a disruption to them. everybody has to sign on to it in that neighborhood. They all have to participate in it. And the comment was made by, I think there was a couple sitting down at the end of the row said, we'll make sure everyone signs on. So it's like they take care of each other, but they're going to make sure this project is going to happen also. So I was very encouraged by all of that. And it's needed. We have to get it done. We have to get it done.
I was very appreciative of the fact that just the sensitivity to
Yeah.
each resident and working with them, because each home is unique and how
Yeah.
it's going to be routed and what might come out and what might be disrupted and what's going to be replaced. So I thought I was very impressed with the way staff is and the team is handling that. Will you take a motion?
Yes, I will.
Okay, I move that we approve resolution 1718, authorizing the application for clean water state revolving fund loan from the Water Infrastructure Finance Authority, WIFA of Arizona for the Third North Sewer Project, and authorize the mayor, town manager, and town clerk to execute all documents.
Is there a second?
I'll second.
Okay, it's been moved by Vice Mayor Hunseter and seconded by Councilmember Jones to approve Resolution 1718, authorizing the application for a Clean Water State Revolving Loan Fund, a fund loan from the Water Infrastructure Authority of Arizona for the Third North Sewer Project, and authorize the mayor, town manager, and town clerk to execute all documents. All those in favor of the motion, please say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, hearing none, motion carried. Yay, we're moving forward with this project. Again, for those in the audience, both of these projects are projects we have been seeing for the last couple of years, and now they're coming to a point where we get to move them forward. And that's the exciting part of this, is we're seeing movement on these. So thank you, staff, on this. So let's move on. We have another grants round coming here. This is the ratification of item C, 7C. It's the ratification of four applications to the Arizona Department of Environmental Quality Brownfield State Response Grants. This is to discuss, consider, and act upon the ratification of the four applications to ADEQ for Phase 1 environmental state assessment related to the extension of the Centerville Road and the properties we have acquired. So with that, we have Assistant Town Manager Ruth Mayday, who's going to speak to this one.
Good evening,
Welcome.
Mayor, and thank you. Good evening, Mayor and Council. Before you, you have the option to ratify 4 brownfield state response grants that the town staff has submitted to the Arizona Department of Environmental Quality. We have been working with our consultant to get these in order and into ADEQ so that they can forward them on to the Environmental Protection Agency for further review. They have to comment on the processes and practices that they use for remediation. So Atlas has been a very helpful partner in this. We're very fortunate that our contact Travis at the ADEQ is very, very actively involved in this program statewide and has been a real help on this. It's a whole different language, and it's nice to be able to rely on the consultant and their staff to be able to keep these moving along. So the purpose of these grants is to mitigate the contamination, any contamination or cleanup, basically these, the 2 parcels and then the triangle that we acquired for the extension of Centerville Road. And as you can see here, we have one that's got quite a bit of debris, not only on site, but it's kind of spilled over the edge into our right of way. And cleanup for this would be quite costly. There are some barrels on there that have substances in them that we're not sure what they are. So rather than try to take this on ourselves, we're going to go through this Phase 1, Phase 2 process, because by completing this Phase 1 assessment, if there is further remediation rather than just the solid waste cleanup that needs to be done, we can qualify for additional grant funding for that. So for each of the parcels and then the town right of way, we've applied for 47,500 each. We just received word this week that the EPA will allow us to use that for solid waste cleanup now, which is huge for us so that we can get the junk off of there. Get the accumulation of materials off of those sites in the rights of way and be able to do an accurate job of doing some soil testing. Because it is literally knee deep. I've been on that site and I'm not, for one time, not exaggerating. It is knee deep in just detritus. There's lumber, there's materials, cars, parts of old mobile homes. There's just all kinds of things that they've collected up and just left there, and cleaning it up is a daunting task. So we will be working with Atlas, the consultant works with another cleanup company called Viking that will be coming out and doing the cleanup. And so we are asking you to ratify this grant so we can get this cleanup and continue on with the extension of Centerville Road.
Great, thank you. Comments to Ruth?
Amazing. I do just have one question. In the right of way on the upper right, there's that what looks like a little building. Is that?
Oh, I think that's the travel trailer.
Oh, that's just a travel trailer.
Right.
Yes.
That's on the
That's
side. of
another
the-
one of our,
That's like a work trailer.
oh, no, it's an old camper trailer.
Oh, it's an old camper trailer. That's on our right of way.
Yeah.
And do we know whose it is?
Kinda, it's been rumored to belong to someone, but we're in the process of getting rid of that as well.
Okay, that was that. I understood the rest. I was just wondering what that little thing was hanging out up there.
Yep. We actually, the PD has helped us and removed 2 of the vehicles that have been on site so that we're not dodging those, cleaning up everything else. And they're working on getting that camper out of there as well.
Other questions for Ruth?
I mean, it seems like this is a great opportunity to take advantage of a program that's going to help us clean up. And then in the future, depending on what we find, help us continue possibly with some grant funding. So thanks for all your work on this.
Thank you. This is one of the times when you don't get nervous when ADEQ shows up and says, hey. Right.
Go ahead.
Yep. Sounds to me like this is a motion we need to approve. So I move that we approve the ratification of 4 applications to the Arizona Department of Environmental Quality Brownfield State Response Grants for Phase 1 Environmental Site Assessment related to the extension of Centerville Road in the total amount of $190,000, and authorize the town manager to execute all documents related to the applications.
I'll take a second.
I'll second.
Okay, it's been moved by Vice Mayor Hunsetter and second by Councilmember Jones to approve the ratification of 4 applications to the Arizona Department of Environmental Quality Brownfield State Response Grants for Phase 1 environmental site assessments related to the extension of Centerville Road in the total of $190,000, and authorize the town manager to execute all documents related to these applications. And just a comment for the public, this is also purchasing these projects took us probably, well, they've been in the work for years and years, and we expedited it over the last 3 years to get these parcels purchased as part of the development agreement with Mountain Gate, because Mountain Gate is obligated to build the road extension. So we wanted to get this project move forward. We've always wanted that connection between Broadway and 89A. So that's what this project is about. We knew there was a lot of junk on there. I'm not surprised when you tell us that there are barrels of unknown substance and other things.
I'd hate to speak for the police chief, but we're all hoping there's not any more bodies in them.
Okay. We'll get the assessment of that one later. So, but I just want to compliment that we have moved. Again, this is another project is starting to really move forward. And it's exciting to see that we just keep moving forward on these projects. So with that, all those in favor of the motion, please say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, hearing none, motion carried.
Thank you.
Yay, thank you. Okay, I think we're done with the grants for a moment. Okay, let's move on to item 7D. This is an intergovernmental agreement with the Yavapai County Free Library District for library services in Clarkdale. This is for us to discuss, consider, and act upon the agreement for library services in Clarkdale at the Clark Memorial Library. So Parks and Recreation Director Joni Westcott will speak to this. Welcome, Joni.
Thank you. Good evening, Council and Vice Mayor and Mayor. I'm here this evening to talk to you about this intergovernmental agreement with the library. For those of you who've lived here for a while, and some of our residents may remember in 2017, the town decided that due to financial and limited resources, financial reasons and limited resources, we were no longer able to operate the library. And at that time, the Yavapai County Free Library District stepped up and offered to take on a piece of that. And it ended up being a three-part solution. And they would handle the general operations of the library, meaning hiring staff and provide the normal library services for oh my gosh, for the network. And then the Friends of the Clark Memorial Library opted to, they were a new organization at the time, and they agreed to, it was a big community thing at the time. So a lot of people came together to try to make this work. And the Friends came in and said that they would be a partner and they would be responsible for raising up to $12,000 a year to help support new items for the library and programming for the library. And then the town took on the piece of the building and the general maintenance and the utilities. And we've been in this agreement since September of 2017, and it's worked very well for us. It's worked very well for our community to have the library service. The Friends have been doing an amazing job of raising the needed funds and providing programming for the library. The staffing has been great. The library has changed some hours recently, and that's worked very well. The community seems to be really embracing that with Saturday hours that they didn't have before. So in the end, we're just, our agreement is up and we need to renew. We'd like to renew the agreement with the Free Library District. And that's before you this evening, and it's our recommendation that you do so.
Thank you. Before we go forward with any comments, let me just please note for the record that Councilmember Babbitt Pierce is recusing herself from this, stepping away because her mother is still technically an employee for the county for the library. So that's why she's not here. So just please note that, okay? Any questions for Joni?
I just have a statement. I have been using the library as a place to write. And it's for me a great place to get away and concentrate. But what the downside of that is that it is always so filled with people that rarely do I get the concentration that I need, because you inevitably run into somebody and enter into conversation. I by happen chance wound up in a writing group one day. And so it, to me, for such a little library in our little town, it does seem bustling with activity every time I'm in there. I am never the only person there. There are kids there, there are families there. There are people using the computers. I mean, I am really very grateful for all the work that everybody did to put this agreement into place to continue to allow us to have a library here, because I do feel like it's a cornerstone for our community in many, many ways. So thank
I
you
would
for
agree.
you and everybody else who has done that.
I also just want to make a comment. This is definitely a win-win-win for Clarkdale. And I want to give kudos not only to the county for picking up the share that they did, but for the Friends of the Clarkdale Memorial Library. What an outstanding organization. They are at every single event, including Clarktoberfest this past weekend when it was 100 degrees out there. But they're at the concerts in the park. I mean, they are just really very active and promoting all the time, trying to drum up. And I'd be surprised if they are not raising more than $12,000. But anyway, great organization. They have a lot of great programs that they brought to Clarkdale with artists and engagement and with all assets of the community. So kudos to them. Thank you.
Thank you.
I could also add that they put in quite a large amount of money to redo the children's area and create just a beautiful place with a lot of activities and hands-on things for kids to do there, just for day-to-day operations. So they really have done a lot.
Any other comments? I agree. I was talking with a librarian who is a Clarkdale resident. And he said during the weekend of the Gem and Mineral Show on that Saturday, they had over almost 100 people into the library just on that Saturday. And that's great. Those are the numbers that keep the county really happy. And it's not just the Friends of the Library. They have an excellent staff. They have another employee, a young woman, Kelly Clearly, I believe is her name. And she's doing exceptional programming along with the Friends also. So it's really, really pulled in a variety of people. So it's lovely to see. I'm pleased. I'm very pleased by it. So if any other comments? If not, I'll take a motion to approve.
Madam Mayor, I move that we approve the intergovernmental agreement between the town of Clarkdale and the Yavapai County Free Library District for library services in Clarkdale and authorize the town manager to execute all documents.
There's a second.
I'll second.
It's been moved by Councilmember Jones and seconded by Councilmember O'Neill to approve the intergovernmental agreement with the town of between the town of Clarkdale and the Yavapai County Free Library District for free library services in Clarkdale and authorize the town manager to execute all documents. All those in favor of the motion, please say aye. Aye. All those opposed? Hearing none, motion carried. Ask Marnie to come back in.
Thank you.
We'll just wait a moment. Thank you so much, Joni. I think Lou went to get her. Please note that Councilmember Babbitt Pierce is back. Okay, let's move on to item 7E, the 24-25 pavement preservation update. Public Works Director Lou Anderson's going to just give us an update. There's no action. This is discussion only. Hi, Lou.
Hey, thanks, Mayor. Lou Anderson, Public Works. Update. So as you know, in March, we brought you the pavement management program and council said move forward. So we brought it to council August 13th and you approved the contract with Cactus. So not that too long after that, August 30th, they started work. They've to date completed the crack seal, the mastic, and the skin patching. Then this last week, they finished chip seal. So all the chips are down. And this week they're fogging all of the chips, as well as starting the process on this parking lot here. This Thursday, we're gonna be overlaying Rincon Road. And then we're gonna be doing the parking lot Friday. Also on Thursday and Friday, they're gonna have a crew go out and patch some of the errors that they have made in the upper town. We had a truck drive over the oil and it pulled up some material. So we have some potholes there. We've got some potholes up on Sunset, some that we need to do there. There's about 7 areas that they're going to be tending to on Thursday, Friday, filling up those voids and shoring up the edges also on Centerville Road. And then Susan Road, we also have an edge we have to correct. Then Monday, they'll be surveying for striping. And Tuesday, Wednesday, they'll be striping. And we'll be, hopefully, that'll be, next week will be the last week.
Lisa.
Including Rincon?
Yes, Rincon will be done Friday and then striped the following week.
And yes, Marnie.
Thank you. So all the roads are being striped because like a lot of my neighborhood didn't used to be striped. Now it's going to be striped. Or maybe it was striped and I just couldn't see it.
Probably. Yeah.
Any other comments? Yeah, I know, dirt road. You feel, yes, Lisa.
I walk early in the morning in town, and I am continually stopped to get compliments on behalf of the town on the work that Cactus is doing. They are managing to do a smelly, dirty project without irritating anybody, except for the little parking snafu in the beginning, and that's to be expected. So compliments to your staff and to the contractor.
Yeah, that's what I was going to ask is everybody seems to be okay with most of this, you think?
I think I run into the crabby people.
Yeah. There's been a few.
Yeah, I
things.
mean, I guess the only thing that I have is about like just a QA, but you just answered like how are they going to go around do quality assurance and making sure that things are.
Yeah, so our team's already been out with the superintendent, walked the roads, pointed out the areas of concern. They knew of most of them, and the hot mix will be in Thursday, Friday, so they're gonna hit those spots then.
Cool. Cool.
And yeah, I know, I think there's been a few residents that have been concerned. I know I got a picture of potholes on my phone, so.
Okay. Yeah, and that's what they'll be doing Thursdays and Friday, getting those. So we do appreciate the calls because we can't see them all. Sometimes
Yeah.
we miss things, and so
Thank
it's
you for
good to
saying that.
get the calls.
I just want to say it's an impressive process and it looks really great. So
Oh,
I
you guys have
don't
done
live on any of those roads, but I drive them. So
well, you've done a great job, the mayor and council, for getting this project kicked off and then making sure that we do have sustainable roads for the future. Allocating that amount of money over the next 5 years is going to be very helpful.
Yeah.
So
Well-
it looks like we have $258,952 of the $1,600 that we budgeted that has not been allocated at this point.
Yes and no.
Yeah, you tell me.
Yes, but no, there isn't probably going to be one more change order that I didn't brief you on. I didn't know that it was that pertinent, but we will see another change order for Western and Zuni. We're too far gone for the chip application, so they're going to overlay it. And I think we're supposed to have gotten a price today or tomorrow and get that to the manager. We're estimating it's not going to be 50,000. It'll be less than that. So I would say we have 200 plus of still available.
And we'll regroup and come up with a recommendation of what we can afford to do, whether that's the next, street that's on the priority list, or You know, we have talked about doing just a seal coat on Broadway Road Phase 1 because it's now 5 years old. And I really want to focus on keeping that road well maintained because it gets the most traffic. So we'll come back to you with, you know, what we're
Okay.
thinking.
Yeah. I've been impressed that they
Yeah.
touched every part of town almost like simultaneously. Every time I turned around, they had the signs up, they were working on it, whether it was in my neighborhood or it was downtown or it was Foothills Terrace. I tried to come a certain way tonight and I went, no, I can't come that way. But they have been very accommodating and just the getting it done. I'm just happy to see these roads, the worst of the worst, being worked on. I know it can't be all of them, but the worst of the worst is getting worked on, and that's the best.
And there's a plan.
Yeah, and there's a plan.
So
Thank
it's,
you.
if your road wasn't done this round, check and see if it may be done next round, but there's a 5-year plan.
Yeah. Yeah.
Guthrie,
Yes.
can we, in the newsletter, either this week or next week, do a map that shows like in green what's been done so people can really get a sense of that? Because I think that visual will help people, like take the reds and turn them to greens.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Again, I think we've been excited to see this project underway. So, Lou, thank you to the team, Virginia and everybody for marshaling this through and staying on top of it and answering all the concerns and comments that have come in from residents. We appreciate it.
Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, let's move on to, town residential trash services. This is just a discussion item about our agreement with Waste Management, and Public Works Assistant Director Virginia Smith will speak to the topic. Are you tired of trash?
Oh, never. I was here when we got the first RFP done in 2018, 19. It was my first big project, so it's kind of a thing that I'm doing now. Good evening, Mayor and Council. I'm here to give you an update of where we're at from 2 weeks ago when we were at the September 23rd council meeting. The town did issue a formal letter to Waste Management, and they have since responded, hitting all of the points that we mentioned in our letter. Communication has gotten better over the past couple of weeks. Glass has returned to the drop-off station and they've added another container for cardboard. We had, out of the 2 weeks between last time and this time, we had 1 good week and 1 bad week. So our ratio overall is getting better. We're still working on it. It was 20% good before and now it's 23. So we're making progress. They did present recycling options. One option was that they drop an additional 2 containers at the drop-off site, see how much more business they get as far as recycling in order to get that diversion rate up, and then meet with town and see from their standpoint and from ours if that's working for us. And then they have still offered the mandatory curbside recycling for all residents at a cost. And we're working on evaluating the numbers. We've done a survey, which we've closed out the original one, and we're kind of looking at what the residents are saying, and we will likely have to go out for another one once we have a better idea of what that additional cost is. Do you have any questions? Today, so it's Tuesday, and we keep asking the residents to hold off and wait because they do work until 6, sometimes 7 at night. So I can't honestly answer it until tomorrow morning when I walk in the office and there's 50 voicemails or not.
Yes.
I just want to add, thank you to the Public Works staff because they're getting all the calls and they're really trying to do the best they can to help residents. And, you know, we're working through this situation, trying to get to the best solution for the residents. I think we have gotten at least an estimate of what curbside recycling will be,
Right.
which is at least $9 per household, in addition to what they're already paying. And it would be mandatory for all all residents. So that's when Virginia mentions doing another survey. The initial survey, overwhelmingly, people said, yes, we would be willing to pay more to have curbside recycling, but we didn't have a cost at that time. So more is relative. And that $9 would be just what we would have to pay to Waste Management. That doesn't include any offset for wear and tear on the streets by having that second truck there every single week. So we really feel like we probably need to go ahead and put out another survey with more accurate costs. Like, will you be willing to pay an additional $9 to $15 per month in order to have curbside recycling, or are you satisfied with going to the center? So I feel like we need that piece of information, because we're going to need that even if we go out to RFP, because in the RFP, we're going to ask the same questions of any vendor that bids is, what would you charge us to do curbside recycling? So we need to know kind of the upper threshold of what people would be willing to pay for that. And then, at this point, we'd like to have a little bit more time to try to work through some of the issues. I can tell you that Virginia has prepared an RFP. So at any time, if council makes the decision, there is additional notice required under the contract that we would have to continue working with them. But we are prepared if that point comes, but we would like to try to continue to work through that and get more additional information from our residents. Anything else you want to add?
No, I think that's everything.
Comments? Yeah.
Could I suggest that rather than have an optional digital, what am I trying to say?
Survey, to have a paper
yeah.
survey for them to fill
Have
out
it
at
go
the
out with the
office.
water bill.
Okay.
Thank you.
Okay. Any other comments?
I'm curious if we have ever thought of doing trash collection in town. I know that a lot of municipalities do it themselves.
Yeah, actually, Lou and I have had that conversation. A trash truck is approximately $500,000. Plus, we would have to invest in an employee to do it. Plus, we would have to have a contract with Waste Management because they own the landfill. And then we would have to buy all of the cans around town. So I'm never saying no, but it's something we have discussed, but probably in the short term doesn't make a lot of financial sense for us.
Okay. Any other comments?
I just think we just thank you for everything that you're doing, and thank you for taking all the heat, because you really are. And I hope tomorrow morning you have no voicemails. That's my wish for you.
Betty's wish.
Yeah, but I love the idea. I know that, I think you put it in this week's newsletter that glass is back and that there's a second cardboard dumpster. Like, I wish we could work maybe in the future, if this continues to improve in a positive way, that we can work with Waste Management on a true campaign to get that recycling center really utilized to its fullest. So, what? I want to win. I want to be the best waste management people in the state. No, I do, but no, I just think, so ideally we could hit our recycling goals without our residents incurring another cost, I guess, is really what I'm trying to get at. And that's one of the ways for us to do that as a community, for us to come together and say, okay, we as a community need to hit our recycling goals. Everybody start bringing your stuff up. So that's really, and maybe framing it in that way, that we have a goal to do this. And if we can achieve that, then we don't need to incur another expense here.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. Marnie.
Thank you. Well, and to piggyback on what you said a little bit, Laura, I hope that they can pull this out too. I was looking at the RFP rates from 2019, which is the last time we went out, and everybody else was double what Patriot was in 2019. So if we go out to RFP, we are looking at probably at least doubling people's trash collection. And if they're not collecting it, it doesn't matter how much we're paying or not paying. But if they can get it together and collect it, that would be a huge cost savings for folks. And I would love to
Mhm.
not have to raise trash rates on people.
And that's exactly why
Yeah.
we are trying to have patience because we have looked at those numbers. Doesn't mean a new bid wouldn't come in lower, but we do have, one less vendor in the market right now. So it's not like there's a huge amount of competition, but we do have vendors identified that we would send the
Mhm.
RFP
Mhm.
to, but we do have an incredibly good rate right now. But again, if we're not getting the service, it doesn't matter. So we're trying to get us there, but if not, we will come to you and ask you if we can move forward with an RFP.
Okay. I was good to see in the response back to our demand default letter that they have given us direct contact information for different aspects of what we might be calling them for. So that was very helpful to see because I think that was a little bit of a real point of contention internally because we didn't know who to talk to. And now it looks like we can. So at least on paper, it looks like we can. How's that? And so I think they did come back with a reasonable action plan. And we need to see if it works. But I'm glad that the RFP is ready to go.
Yeah, and they have spent about $600,000 improving the fleet, which has been most of the issues, not all the issues, but most of the issues. So they have made, some progress that they can demonstrate to us, but we'll continue to monitor it very closely.
Yeah, and I did see them pulling out. They were over on Old Jerome Highway and Paloma about 6:15 this morning. I saw one of the trash trucks starting, so.
Can I just, for public record, can we reiterate what happens if somebody has a complaint or their trash didn't get picked up? What should they do?
There are multiple avenues depending on what they're comfortable with. You can always call utility billing 639-2450. I got my numbers right. They can come into the office and we will help them there. There is utilities at clarkdale.az.gov email address, and we have a web form that you can search the Town of Clarkdale website for missed pickup, and it'll take you to a form that'll get you right in.
And it's my understanding that's the preferred form, right?
Is the easiest way for the utility staff to handle it, but we're, happy to talk to, especially if you are one of those customers that has had consistent issues where, maybe I need to draw a map for waste management. We have a couple of those, then please do call me, talk to me, let me know what your frustration is.
Thank you for taking this on as an unfavorable trashy topic.
Lisa,
I'd like to point out that during one of the very bad days, I was out speaking with a neighbor about the issue. There's a waste management truck and there was a broken arm issue. There was a truck's too big to go down the alley, all kinds of crap. And our public works director was following the waste management truck around saying, no, this way. So the town staff is really pulling the weight on this, and thank you.
yeah, thank you. Thank you so much. Yes, Marnie.
I know that we have some public here. I wonder if we might open up to the
Sure.
public if anyone has any comments.
Sure. Is there anybody who'd like to speak? Wayne, come on up and state your name and if you're a Clarkdale resident.
My name is Wayne Gosser. I am a Clarkdale resident for 5 years. I just wanted to say that for the past 3 weeks, our trash has been picked up at 12:30 in the afternoon. But last week we had a new driver, didn't know where he was going. So we went out there and gave him directions on how to go down this street, and we're all dead ends back in our area. And we had to tell him that he had to back up the hill behind us, Hogan's Hill, because that's the only way. There's no turnaround at the top when he collects the trash up there. And I figured, okay, we're good now. We got somebody that knows the area. Well, today, another new driver, same thing. He didn't know. He actually came up and knocked on my door and said, how do I get out of here? That's, new drivers are coming in. And I will say that the trash was picked up. I'm happy about that. They have new rental trucks that they rented which I've seen around now. But I just think that they need to do a better job of mapping out their routes or however they do that. I think that's something that is a big issue with them right now. And new drivers. This is the third driver in the last 3 weeks for our area. So, you know,
And that does cause problems, can cause delays,
exactly.
all those sort of things. So if that can kind of, I don't know how we communicate to them, is try to get some consistency in your drivers or make sure they have really good maps with details like, oh, things like you just pointed out, Wayne.
Well, after he actually picked up the trash beyond my house, which was only 2 houses beyond mine, he actually, when he came back out, he actually stopped, came up to the door and just thanked me. He says, they gave me this route. They told me which streets I'm to do, they didn't tell him how to do them, what order to do them in. So they've got some communication within their own
Okay,
company, but the trash was picked up. That's positive to it.
thank you for your comments. That's good feedback. Yeah. Anything else, anybody else wish to speak to this item from the public? Seeing nobody coming
This
up.
is Carla.
Yes, sorry.
Hi, how is everybody?
Please state your name.
Carla Erickson, resident of Clarkdale. I do appreciate that Waste Management is making the effort, but I want to go back to recycling. I agree with Laura. I mean, I recycle all the time, and why they're making it mandatory is still beyond me. It's not mandatory in most of the areas. I was doing some research, so I'm willing to pay the extra for a can there. There's people in our neighborhood that want to recycle. They can't get to the recycling thing. They have to sort their glass, they have to sort their cardboard, they sort their cans. It's kind of hard for some people to sort all that out. So I really think we need curbside recycling. You're going to meet your goals a lot quicker if we get some curbside recycling. To ask people to always take their recycling down there, sort it, store it, that's a lot for some people. So I really hope we can push Waste Management on this mandatory, everybody has to have it, because a lot of people don't recycle, unfortunately. So I really push back on them of why they're making it all mandatory for this small of an area. So anyway, that's all I have to say on it.
Okay, thank you very much for your comments on that. Anybody else wish to speak?
Mayor, can I just address that?
Yes.
Thank you. I just want to comment that Waste Management did bid on this in 2018, and we're just on the base services were $3.80 more per house per month than Patriot. So I'm sure that, they're 5 years ago, 6 years ago, they were $3.80 more than we're paying right now. So I do feel like the base rate is probably factoring into the requirement that if they're going to add anything to this, it would be for everybody. So I just wanted to comment on that. And that does give us a sense of going out to bid, that right there, that many years ago, it was already significantly higher, a third higher than we are paying now. So I think that, I understand what she's saying, and we've talked about this, but pushing them when it's not financially feasible, they're not going to do that. I mean, I don't think it makes financial sense for them in that scenario. And in that case, we just probably would need to go back out to bid and get all new bids, and we don't know what those would be.
Well, yeah, I think right now, Laura, and most of us, I think most of us thought that expansion of the site and pushing that site is where we wanted to go in this short term. And not do curbside recycling right now. That doesn't mean that this one, if we go out to RFP, that's a whole different discussion.
I mean, especially while we're trying to get
Yeah.
this straightened out, I feel like that's what we should do for right now.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and it's only a few months if we think about it, because we'd have to go, if we stay in this process and don't trigger it right away, it's going to be January, and that's only 3 months away, that we would go out to bid. we'd issued the RFP. So for us to change it right now is just very cumbersome and would be very crazy for everybody. So at this moment, everybody just needs to bear with us and say, let's just keep doing this, try to promote it, try to get people to participate in it. And then let's see where we go from there. Is kind of the sense I'm getting am I saying that pretty correctly? Okay. 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 Virginia, thank you so much
Thank you.
with all of this. And again, tell staff, hang in there. And they're doing a great job. Let's move on to item 8, which is future agenda items. We've got the list here that Charity puts together. Are there any additional items we need on this list? Which seems very long. I know some of it won't be on there, but it kind of keeps it in front of us. So is there anything else that we're missing that we need to have on here? Okay. See nobody wanting to add anything, I will move on to item 9, which is adjournment. I'll take a motion to adjourn. Second. Been moved by Councilmember Jones and second by Vice Mayor Hunstetter to adjourn the meeting. All those in favor of adjourning the meeting, say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? Hearing none, meeting's adjourned at 7:11 PM. Thank you all very much for a long afternoon and evening.